My name is Justine Griffin. I'm with the Sarasota Herald-Tribune, and I'm a journalist.
First, tell us the background of this story and how it came to be, because you didn't set out to do an investigative piece.
Sure. I always wanted to be an egg donor since I was in my teens. I remember seeing advertisements for in my college newspaper about how to become an egg donor, and I put it off for a while until I felt comfortable that I was in a place where, I wasn't in a transition. I had a stable job. So I was 25 when I decided to donate my eggs, and I approached my employer, the Sarasota Herald-Tribune, when I had signed up and had been matched with a couple, because I wanted them to know in case I needed to take some time off or any health concerns. And my editors were so curious about the process that they asked if I would be interested in writing about my experience. So that's how it began. Originally we thought it would be like a lighthearted Sunday essay just about my experience and helping bring new life into the world. But it changed a lot over the course of a year from when I started to when we published.
Were you at all uncomfortable putting yourself into a news story as opposed to an essay?
Yeah, as a reporter, it's always bizarre to be interviewed, or, even in a setting like this, I'm always the one doing the interviewing or asking other people about their experiences. And this was a very personal experience. I mean, characters in the story are my parents and my boyfriend. I mean, I really opened up my personal life when we put it on camera. So yeah, it was very awkward, and it was hard to write too. I mean, I'm a business reporter, so this is very different. Opening up about what was happening in my body, that sort of thing, and knowing that it was going to go to print and all of our readers are going to read it.
So tell me about how the sources for the story reacted to the idea that this was an investigation now, not necessarily just an essay. I mean, some people thought you went undercover, but that wasn't the case.
Right, there was nothing undercover about it. I mean, this was something strictly personal, and if the newspaper hadn't brought up the idea of writing about it, I probably would have blogged or journaled about it for my own, just for myself, to remember the experience. But when the newspaper showed interest, I was very clear with everyone on board from the beginning. So the moment I walked into the door at the agency, the egg donor agency, I told them that I was a newspaper reporter, and it is a possibility that I'm going to write about this for publication one day. Same with my doctors at USF Health. So everyone knew that I was a newspaper reporter. Originally we were worried, well, maybe that they would treat me differently if they knew I was going to be writing something. But no one seemed to really care that I was a reporter. The egg agency told me, oh, plenty of our donors blog all the time, don't worry about it. I remember having a moment where, I had talked to a dozen other egg donors from all over the country, and there were a few of them that had these really awful stories. I met a 19-year-old who was going through early menopause, and so she had basically given up her right to have a child for somebody else. And it touched me a little bit more deeply. I'm a reporter, and usually you're trained you gotta have like a step away from that and understand what they're going through, but it can't ever be an emotional experience that you put into print. But for me, it was, because I was also a donor. And luckily my experience was not, I never had any horrible side effects or anything like that. But the more women I talked to, who had great experiences and bad experiences, I just felt compelled that I had to tell this story. And I had to show them what I knew, which was just my experience. And people needed to see what it is. It's not, this baby just doesn't miraculously show up at the end of it. And that's what people they don't show you that in the ads. They don't tell you that when you show up at the doctor's office, because they're recruiting young girls off college campuses and like, oh, you could pay for a whole semester of college, And I mean, I've met girls that, they've made 50, 60 grand a year doing this. So, and they don't realize what they're doing. So many of these girls that I talk to, I'm like, do you know that this drug's not FDA approved to be used in women? Or do you know that this has links to ovarian cancer? And they're like, oh no, my doctor never told me that. So, and that just frightens me. So, I've had a couple other egg donor websites want to do Q&As with me, and they've asked me, what sort of advice would I give to someone who's thinking about being a donor? And after going through all of it, knowing everything about the drugs and how it's regulated, I'd say that if you're not 100% sure that you would do it if you weren't getting paid, then don't do it.